Hello, welcome to another Tales from the Workshop from Mr. Jones Watches. This week we're going to have a look back at the sampling that went into Milagritos, which was the watch we released a few weeks ago that was designed for us by Mariana Calderón. I recorded a section of the video that I did with Mariana where we did look through the samples, but I felt that the Milagritos release video was kind of long enough on its own, and also, if I'm honest, I didn't want the samples to get lost as part of a longer video because Milagritos went through quite a lot of changes along the development journey, and it's just nice to sort of capture them all in one place and share them. Some watches, when we sample them, there's not that interesting a story in the development. I feel like Milagritos is a really nice one for seeing the kind of development and progression of the design. So, as we would often do, we started with a monochrome sample. And the monochrome sample is really just to test proportion and sort of overall feel. But I guess you can see right from, well, at this stage, like there are way more Milagritos on the heart.
Yes, I think always my initial approach to things is to overdo it. I do like very detailed, intricate illustrations, and I want to bring everything to the table, as I always think it's best to have a lot and then take off instead of not having enough.
So we took that one through to like a full colour sample. At this stage, we hadn't really resolved how the eye would appear, so we just completely omitted it. So there's no eye in the eye socket.
It's very telling on how the process was, like what kind of things we wanted more focus on, what things we could discard or were distracting or not really giving.
This is then next round sample. So we've got the eye, but I think the eye is just printed on the glass at this stage maybe, but we've cleaned up the hour disc, so there's only the snake now below the heart. We've still got quite a lot of charms on there. Like it, I mean, even with it kind of quite magnified on screen, it's quite crowded.
I think when there's so much going on, you kind of lose it's difficult to focus on what the symbols are, what do they mean, and we just see like texture, and that was definitely not the goal of the design.
So then next round, there's a few changes on this. So the snake has got a bit bigger. I think on the previous one, we just omitted the extra elements from the hour disc, but the snake, you know, there was quite a lot of space for it to grow. There's far fewer Milagritos on the heart, but also the heart started to get a bit of shading to give it a bit of texture. So, like if you see the two side by side, it's got a lot more kind of physicality, I guess, now.
Yes, it's, if we decided for something to be at the center, it was best to go bold and give it a bit more weight. It really gave something to the final design, and I think that's the final set of charms. Like we decided for the more mysterious or meaningful ones.
I guess the eye at this stage was a bit
startled.
Yeah, surprised. The surprised all-seeing eye. So next round, I guess the focus was quite a bit on that. So on pulling the overall eye shape in a bit to more closely match the pupil. We've got the dial print now that is the same as the fine one, although that last sample we're going to show has a slight variation on this, but it's pretty close at this stage.
Yeah, we were almost there, and the beams are very in sync with all the imagery that the design is inspired for, so I was very happy with that addition.
There was a slight variation in dial pattern. We were trying different things. It's too bold and distracting. Really.
It was like going back to the first samples, that it was too much. It took attention from the nice reflection you get from the gold dial.
So the only real change that existed between these two was just the addition of a sort of eyelid, which I think does give that all-seeing eye just a bit more, I don't know, character maybe. It looks a bit less, it still looks a bit startled or a bit scary.
It looks more serene with the
benevolent
eyelid.
maybe.
Yes.
The other thing that I wanted to share this week is some cool new posters that we've developed for around the workshop. And this is kind of reminders for people to take care of their workspace. These were developed actually by Mariana in her capacity as Head of Quality Control, and they were illustrated by Katerina, who is in-house illustrator. The first one starts, appropriately enough, with a reference to dust. Like, one of Mariana's main focuses is minimizing dust in our workspaces. So this one just says close the box, block the dust. So a reminder to everyone when components are taken out of the boxes, that the boxes should be closed just to minimize that dust. Finger cots only for clean work. If I'm honest, this is something that the assembly technicians absolutely do by heart anyway. They're very diligent about wearing finger cots at all times when doing assembly, but obviously good to be reminded. Start fresh, clean your bench. So this is again part of the sort of dust reduction effort. So at the start of every day, each of the watch assembly technicians and the workshop assistants who work in assembly make sure they clean down their bench, and also at the end of the day they make sure that they clean down their bench before they leave. So these were just like a nice colourful way for us to share, I mean, I guess what are quite hard messages, you know, for people to see, but I guess sharing them in a more playful way and allowing people to have ownership of that stuff. Okay, that's all for this week. I hope the look through the Milagritos samples was interesting. Like, I found it really interesting just to see them all in one place together and see that journey that design went on. As always, I look forward to hearing your comments, and I'll see you next week.